Hey there, welcome back to Wildly Creative Women TV. I am your host, Sarah Layton, former real estate content marketing category queen turned creative business coach for female service providers who are ready to scale with soul and not so much stress. So if that sounds like fun, I am really glad you're here. You're in the right place. We're going to be talking today all about the Sage Dreamer archetype. OMG. This is so freaking exciting, you guys. You don't even understand. Sage Dreamers, they are the most rare archetype on the planet, and they are truly magical beings. I love these women. And if you are one, I love you. And I want to hear from you. Please say hello in the comments. But first things first, we won't know if you're a Sage Dreamer unless you grab this free archetype assessment I have dropped for you in the description. So if you have not taken the assessment yet, like I said, it's fun, it's free, it's really quick and easy, and you're going to have all kinds of very nifty little things about yourself revealed to you at the end of it, including not just your own behavioral patterns, but what they mean in terms of who your ideal clients should be, what kind of offers you should be creating, what your messaging should be like. Oh my gosh, it goes on and on and on. And that's exactly why I fell so head over freaking heels in love with Jungian psychology, aka behavioral psychology, and the archetypes, because archetypes, as I've explained a million times before and will keep drilling into you, are just a funny name for our behavioral pattern. Better yet, our unconscious behavioral patterns. These are things that we don't even realize we're doing when we're doing them until we draw our awareness to those behaviors, as well as the thought patterns and beliefs underneath them. And when we do that, well, shoot, that's where the real fun starts, because then we can start to rewrite them to look, sound, and feel like anything we want to. And no one is more powerful at that than the Sage Dreamer. So my fingers are crossed for you in a sense that you are the Sage Dreamer. Well, there's really no one archetype that's better than the other. I just love some sages. They are just the most peaceful, wonderful, loving, just relaxing people to be around. They just have a real way about them, and I love them so much. So all right, so let's dive right in here. I don't want to spend too much time talking about why the archetypes matter. We've already discussed that. Let's just dive right in for my sages that already know themselves to be such, so we can start learning a little bit more about what makes our sage archetype so rare and special. So, as you've already discovered in the archetype assessment that I included for you, as a sage, your deepest driving desire is discovering and sharing truth. This is why you love to learn so much. It's your deepest core desire as a human being to discover new knowledge and to share it. And that, I think, is really, really special. Your primary goal in life, similar but not the same as your desire, is self-mastery. You are very driven to learn exactly what makes you tick and do the things that you do, which is probably why you're right here, right now, right? You are so excited to learn why you're doing the things that you're doing in your life, business, relationships, so on and so forth. And so here you are, just rolling up your sleeves, learning something new the way you love to, and I love and honor you for that. Your deepest fear, though, is not being recognized for who you actually are very similar pretty much to our matriarchs, queen, mother archetypes. They also are driven by this fear because they are both so valuable and they give and do so much. And our sages, they spend so much time on self-mastery and study that they acquire this vast pool of knowledge that will honestly, in some ways, feel kind of impossible to really leverage and to use all of it. And as time goes on, that can become overwhelming and even cause some anxiety and depression as a sage acquires more and more knowledge. If she doesn't have the ability to share that truth and that knowledge with people that she cares about and that she believes will benefit from it, okay? Whew. And then your signature move, and boy, am I guilty of this one. Raise your hand, hit me with some love in the comments, and otherwise, if you can relate to giving the advice that you do not want to hear, right? But doing it anyway, and then you hear yourself say it out loud, and you're like, oh, damn, I really should, I'm supposed to be doing that. Been there, right? I think we all have. But that's the signature move of our sage, and we really love her for it. But her hidden talent is that I don't even know if we can really call it a hidden talent. I think it's pretty obvious. She's a master of research, an absolute master of it. And that's going to show up in a minute when we talk about the most common career paths that sages tend to choose. But first, I thought it would be really fun if we take a look at some pop culture references of sages that will help you to draw a deeper sense of recognition around this character or this archetype or these unconscious behavioral patterns that exist all over the place. All right, so my sages. I tried to curate a diverse set of characters for you to really kind of illustrate this. So from the Disney realm, we've got Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and this is why she's always got her nose in a book, right? That's why she loves the library so much. And it's interesting, sages in the early parts of their life, especially, have the tendency to prefer to be around men. They find relationships, friendships with men easier because sages have the tendency, although they can have intense emotions inside, they sometimes become so lost in the depths of logic that they lose their patience for full emotion that can be seen and experienced more erratically with younger females. And so this is where we start to hear this pattern emerge of certain young women saying things like, oh, I really just prefer to stay friends with guys. They're so much easier. There's no drama, and like that kind of narrative. That's a sage's narrative. And it doesn't mean if you did that or said that, or maybe your daughters are doing it now, doesn't mean that you're necessarily definitely a sage. Could be just that you're in a sage season of life. But quite often that is going to be telling signs that we are on a sage path. Cinderella's fairy godmother, the crone, as she's known in literature, right? That's another perfect example of a sage dreamer. Hermione from Harry Potter, she's another young example, and I really wanted to grab some young examples like Belle and Hermione because the sage is so often thought of as being ancient, being like, the 105-year-old wise woman, but there is tremendous wisdom within these archetypes from birth. Flat out just lives within their DNA. And a lot of that comes from their natural instinct, not from the books they keep their noses stuck in, okay? Sophia from the Golden Girls. And if you've been following me for a little while, you know that on Saturday mornings, I love to curl up with a big old bowl of mac and cheese and some Golden Girls while I do some planning and journaling. That is just my little guilty pleasure from when I was single that I can't let go of now. Dan makes fun of me and giggles at me, but I don't care. I just love it. So anyway, Sophia, the one they're always turning to for the sage advice, is the Sage Dreamer. And Sex and the City, this is Miranda. Miranda the lawyer, Miranda the researcher, Miranda the always logical partner in relationships, the one that's always trying to get Carrie to toe a logical line, right? That's Miranda. A lot of people get that one mixed up. And then finally, Amy, our neurobiologist from the Big Bang Theory, is our most modern example. All of these characters are just beautiful depictions of the grace and the warmth and the wide breadth of just instinctual knowledge that lives within Sage Dreamers. I love, love, love them. They have so much to offer us, and they are so hard to come by at times. They should really just be adored and worshipped for all that they have to share and hold with us. And if you happen to have a sage or two in your life, I promise you that if you tap into her deepest driving fear of not being recognized for who she is and her desire for discovering and sharing truth, she will love you forever. So if you took the Wild Woman Archetype assessment and it revealed that sages are your ideal clients, here's the key to unlocking exactly what she needs. But if you are related to or have a friend that is a sage, same applies. So this is a fun little way of showing you exactly how you can show up and be the sister, the best friend, the support system for the sages in your life that they deserve and sometimes really need. Okay, where do we see sage dreamers in the world? These are consultants. They are therapists or psychologists, lawyers, doctors, nurses, professors or course creators, curriculum creators, and podcast hosts. My friends, Oprah is a sage. Oprah is a glorious example of a sage in her light and glory, just really leaning into action, which is one of the biggest challenges our sages face. And she's a shining example of exactly what can be done when we lean into action that is aligned with our archetype, right? So she was seeking truth, she was seeking knowledge, and she was seeking to share those things with an audience. And her show, which obviously wasn't the start of her career, right? But her show back in the day was exactly the platform that allowed her to be able to do that. And remember, on her show, she was not the expert. Oprah is not the expert. She's interviewing people. And that is a fabulous way for a sage to leverage content marketing strategies to her favor. So I often align my sage clients with podcasts or YouTube channels or something similar that will allow them to do the very same thing, because it will fulfill their fears and their desires and all kinds of other things on their checklist that is required for them to feel happy and fulfilled and challenged and like they are on the right path. And that's what I want for all of you. So, okay, let's talk just a little bit about our sage's shadow and weaknesses. What's really cool about the shadow and the quote unquote weaknesses of the sage is that, unlike the others, this wise woman is not afraid to meet her darkness. And there's something so inspiring and exquisite about that. But there are aspects of herself that she cannot hold back, and it can hold her back if she turns a blind eye to them. So it is still important for even the sage to continue regular shadow work journaling and reflection journaling to make sure she is not indulging blind spots. And if you can afford a coach like myself or another one to help you spot those blind spots and hold you accountable, all the better. But analysis paralysis is a very real thing for the sage. We talk about it a lot with rebel maidens, but it is a very real thing for the sage. And she often gets so busy perfecting her strategy over and over again, or turning to a rebel to do that for her over and over again, that she gets even further behind, and it becomes even harder for her to take action. And then she goes and learns something new that gives her an excuse to learn something else new, that gives her an excuse to try a new strategy. And we're constantly going back to the drawing board, very similarly to our rebel maidens. Especially our, oh my gosh, so younger sages, right? They have this secret desire for recognition, which can drive all kinds of behaviors. But a wise woman who's older and more mature and stronger, she will take all of this knowledge that she has acquired over the course of her life and just give it out freely, not with an emotional attachment to being recognized, with an emotional attachment to the outcome. She gives it freely. So that's the difference between our younger sages who are doing these things for recognition, for attention, to be seen, to be recognized. Once you mature and you've done all of this divine feminine embodiment work and therapy and all the good stuff, then you will settle into this much more peaceful place of wisdom where you will be happy just sharing your knowledge without any attachment to the outcome, like how much you're going to get paid for it. And then you're going to make a whole lot more money because that's how it works, my love. And since you, as a sage, you value your mind so greatly, right? I'll be honest, sometimes, depending on what you do for a living, this is not my therapists, right? This is more likely my consultants or maybe my lawyers. You can get a little emotionally detached, my love. Miranda's a good example of that one. You can lean a little too heavy into the logic. And when you become detached that way emotionally, it starts to become really difficult for you to nurture your audience, for you to create the right kinds of content, for you to create content in a way where it's actually striking a connection. And then we can start to spiral backwards and downwards into self-doubt and shame and research and hiding and isolationism, yada, yada, yada. We don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. There is a time for wintering, and it is in the winter, in the sage season. And there is not only nothing wrong with wintering and resting and incubation, we're going to celebrate that to the fullest this winter. But there is a season for it, and that season must be controlled to a point, and it has to come to an end so that a new season of doing and making money that pays for our seasons of rest can happen. So that's a big part of what we're learning to do here by uncovering our archetypes, is recognizing there's a season for rest. There's a season for planning and strategy. There's a season for doing and nurturing and selling. And there's a season for serving at scale. And that's exactly what each one of these archetypes is going to allow you to do, with a little bit of fun, a little bit of whimsy, and a whole lot of creative curiosity. So, okay, I think I'm going to leave you with that for today. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I hope this was an eye-opening look into the sages that exist all over our world, not just in our stories, our movies, our literature, our songs. But I mean, those are all based on us, right? They're based on our relationships and the stories that we all write together in our lives. So if you want to take control over your own story, this is where it starts. It starts with uncovering the behavioral patterns that you have been unconsciously carrying out. So again, grab that quiz if you haven't already. It'll just take you a few minutes to complete, and you'll find out if you are, in fact, one of our rare sage dreamers, or perhaps you're a rebel maiden, or a matriarch, or even a wild enchantress. Ooh, I can't wait to find out which one you are. Let me know in the comments, and who knows, maybe I'll surprise you with a special free gift just for you based on your archetype. Thanks so much for watching today. Come back tomorrow when we jump right into the Rebel Maidens. Hello, fellow rebels. I can't wait. It's going to be so